Hey y'all, it's Kim. So of course it's Friday, so I just wanted to finish out the week with a few videos. Sometimes my husband gets off early, so just gotta get them done. But anyway, I don't know if y'all seen this weirdo here. This is Sri Thanadar, I think is how you say it, from Michigan. Is a Democrat, and of course he's filed articles of impeachment against Donald Trump. I saw him on Pierce Morgan yesterday, and then Carrie Lake said it looks like he has a squirrel on his head. I mean, he looks like a total weirdo, just super weird. But let's listen to him. Also, Dinesh D'Souza says that this guy lived in India. He would be a municipal clerk or a waiter. Here he thrives because of diversity. On the left, his broken English and semi-illiterate solecisms are seen as positive traits. We need fewer people like this in our country or in this country. And he's 70 years old, from what he said on Pierce Morgan yesterday. Still, I don't care how old he is, he should know better. But like, there's nothing that Trump has done that I can think of that's actually worth impeaching him over. But we'll look at a few other things regarding this guy and also some of his own crimes. It's like all these people come out after Trump and then they have skeletons in their own closet. So let's take a look. We'll check it out, see what's up. And then you can make up your own mind as far as this weirdo, but he looks so strange. Look at his stupid face. Let me open this. Yeah, he just looks weird. So let's check it out.
This is Congressman Sri Thanadar. Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump. The court said the wrongfully deported Kilmer Garcia must be allowed to return and receive due process. Trump ignored it. He ignored the Constitution. He ignored the very checks and balances that keep our democracy intact. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a dangerous, deliberate pattern. That's why today I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump, outlining 7 articles of impeachment. Article 1, obstruction of justice and abuse of executive power, from denying due process to unlawful deportations. Trump defied court orders. Article 2, taking away Congress's power of the purse. Trump dismantled agencies and froze funds without permission from Congress. Article 3, abuse of trade powers and international aggression. He imposed damaging tariffs and threatened military invasions of our allies. Article 4, violation of First Amendment rights. He has retaliated against journalists, attorneys, and critics for exercising their right to free speech. Article 5, creation of an unlawful office, establishing the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and giving Elon Musk unconstitutional power over our government and personal data. Article 6, bribery and corruption. He has dismissed criminal cases and solicited payments from foreign governments and coerced legal settlements for personal and political gain. Article 7, tyrannical overreach. Finally, and most importantly, he is attempting to consolidate unchecked power and erode the constitutional limits of the presidency. In this country, we have presidents, not kings. That's not just misconduct, it's impeachable misconduct. This isn't leadership, it's tyranny. If we let this stand, we are saying the president is above the law. That the United States Constitution is optional. I won't be silent, and I'm calling on all my colleagues, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, to stand up with me. Enough is enough. Donald J. Trump must be impeached.
Now, some of this I don't fully agree with. Because I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, so it's kind of one of those situations. I don't know what's gonna happen. But anyway, like as far as this impeachment stuff, it says several House Democrats have already come out and said they will not support Representative Sri Thanadar's impeachment effort against Trump per the Hill. It's dead in the water. What a clown show. It's because they have no messaging, no leadership. They think they can just bull rush into the Oval Office or something by getting rid of Trump, which you still, I guess, would have JD Vance and then Mike. So you're still gonna have Republicans in there, but whatever. I don't know exactly how all this works, but let's see what people are saying in the comments. It says he's a clown and everyone knows it. That motherfucker back there is not real. Yeah, I mean the hair. It says, Madam, I assure you, my hair and eyebrows are as real as Joe Biden's 80 million voters. It says Representative Sri Thanadar can continue his clown show somewhere else. Yeah. It says Dem Congressman Sri Thanadar, famed for railing against Trump, carried out unspeakable acts against 118 beagles. That's disgusting. We'll look at that in a second. It says dead in the water, just like his squirrel wig. He also tortures animals. It says Sri Thanadar for animal cruelty, attempted murder of 117 dogs and monkeys. Let's see here. According to several people reporting this, it says, I'm sorry, I'm just catching up today. So the guy, Sri Thanadar, who is trying to impeach President Trump, left 170 beagles to die in his defunct pharmaceutical lab in Ewing, New Jersey. And that sounds about right. Add another to the list of things that would only happen in New Jersey. I mean, that's just horrible. It says OMG, Sri Thanadar, the Democrat, representative who filed impeachment charges against Trump, reportedly left over 150 dogs and monkeys to starve to death at an abandoned New Jersey testing lab that he owned. And this is the guy who wants to impeach Trump. Let's see. It says must watch video of dogs being rescued from an abandoned New Jersey testing lab owned by Democrat Rep Sri Thanadar. Most of them never even experienced being outside before. This guy who's trying to impeach Trump. I don't see how this guy gets away with this. And then this is from Pierce Morgan. I just watched this yesterday. I guess it's from the day before, but it says, where did this guy come from? I'm embarrassed for this gentleman. Kerry Lake tears into Congressman Rep Sri Thanadar for trying to impeach President Trump, and then watch the full debate. I mean, it was actually pretty good. Let's watch this real quick.
I think you're doing this largely because you want to get your name out there, because the Democrats have no front runner. No one knows who's in charge of the party. So everyone's clawing to the top of the crabs in the barrel to try and be the pick me for 2028.
All right, Congressman. Congressman, you're just doing this because you're a narcissist, basically.
A narcissist.
But look, in the first 100 days, his numbers are lower than any other president. You had to go back 70 years. And the only other bad numbers for a president in the first 100 days was Trump 45. So people have spoken.
Is that why you're doing it?
Bad poll
people
numbers.
Are having a bias remorse. People are I've spoken to many of Trump's supporters, and they are hugely disappointed by his actions, by his failure to fix the economy. That's number one on people's minds.
Okay, Carrie, what's your response to the congressman? Because there are lots of people saying this, and the Democrats have got their gander up a bit now. They're beginning to marshal their so-called resistance in a better way, because Trump's giving them a lot of opportunity to do that. At what point politically do you start feeling twitchy if the tariff war doesn't work how Trump intends it to?
First of all, where did this guy come from? No, with all due respect, this is an idiotic thing to do. And the it's proving that the Democrat Party has no play. They don't know what to do right now because Trump is winning on everything. He's strategizing how to fix the economy that Joe Biden drove not only into a ditch, but off a cliff. And this is why the American people were suffering. And it sounds to me like this is a political move to try to put him in good graces with the AOC crowd and the very, very far left radical crowd ahead of another election. This is ridiculous. The American people were sick of the previous attempts of impeaching President Trump before. They don't want to see this again. And I'm embarrassed for this gentleman. I'm embarrassed for that congressman that he's doing that he's fallen to that level to try to impeach President Trump in his first 100 days as he tries to save us from the serious missteps of Joe Biden and that administration that almost broke the backs of every American in this country. What about the fentanyl that's no longer pouring across the border? What about the lives that are saved there? What about a president who's trying to end a war that's killing thousands, tens of thousands of people and costing all kinds of our treasure over in Ukraine? What about that? No, he's trying to concentrate on something to make people all of a sudden know who he is so that he can raise money and run for re-election. I find it despicable. I really do.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's just ridiculous. I have nothing better to run on. But let's see. Let's go back over here. Let's see what people are saying. There's that video again. I mean, I just don't understand how he's got any kind of credibility. Let's look at a few of the comments on this. Let's see here. Come on. Of course, my computer wants to be slow. Yeah, it's being stupid. Anyway, I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm just like, wow, this is where we're at. Oh, and then Laura Loomer, I think, also said Representative Sri Thanadar is hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign debt and trying to fundraise his way out of debt by scamming Democrats with bogus impeachment stunts against Trump or President, Donald Trump. And then Shree's FEC filings reveal he's reimbursing himself for investment income loss, which is not how campaigns are supposed to work. You donate to campaigns, you don't invest in campaigns and get paid back. That's why it's called a donation. This Indian scammer is trying to impeach Trump while funneling campaign donor money back into his own pockets. And Sri Thanadar needs to be investigated for campaign finance fraud immediately. Yeah. And I think she was the one that I saw that had some report about him. Let's see. Yeah. Democrat Sri Thanadar's bankrupt company, Anaclin, abandoned 118 beagles and 55 monkeys in the shuttered New Jersey facility in 2010. Starving, neglected animals suffered as his company tanked. Now this animal abuser plots to impeach Trump. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. I mean, they all have some kind of stuff going on. Just like Letitia James had had fraud, or she committed fraud in mortgage stuff. Sorry, the dog's giving me trouble. Had fraud for mortgage stuff while she's going after Trump for fraud. That's about how it works. Anyway, I'm just looking back through here. Meet Congressman Sri Thanadar, the man leading efforts to impeach President Trump. In 2010, Sri Thanadar owned an animal testing lab where more than 170 beagles and monkeys were left behind after his company filed for bankruptcy. The animals previously used for laboratory experiments were abandoned and locked inside the facility without food, water, or care. Their survival depended on the bravery of former lab workers who broke into the building to provide food and water, along with rescue groups who found homes and sanctuaries for the animals. Despite the abandonment, Thanadar portrayed himself as an animal lover and shifted blame onto the bank that had foreclosed on the property. Yeah, that's ugh. I can't imagine. I don't really want to watch that because it breaks my heart thinking about little animals. And so it says it turns out the guy who's trying to impeach Trump isn't just an ugly, misshapen weirdo. He's also evil. Sri Thanadar used to own a pharmaceutical company that got shut down, and they just left 170 dogs and monkeys to starve, and he actively tried to prevent their rescue. Let's see what this says. It says, yes, it's true that Michigan Democrat Sri Thanadar owned a pharmaceutical company from which approximately 170 dogs and monkeys were rescued in 2010. Thanadar's company, as a pharma, which owned Anaclin Preclinical Services, a testing lab in New Jersey, went bankrupt. Following the bankruptcy, the facility was seized by Bank of America, and about 118 beagles and 55 monkeys were left in the shuttered lab. Local animal rights activists discovered the situation in June of 2010. So I wonder how long they were in there, with reports indicating that lab workers were climbing fences to provide food and water to the animals. Oof. Two animal welfare groups eventually rescued the animals on July 4th, 2010, placing the beagles in shelters for adoption. Ugh. And monkeys in sanctuaries. That just makes me mad. I've got a dog and I can't imagine. It says Standard has denied direct responsibility, claiming the bank took control of the facility and that he had no knowledge of the animal's care after the seizure. He also stated that the lab complied with regulations during its operation. However, court records show that Thanadar's attorneys initially opposed the receiver's motion to transfer the animals to sanctuaries, arguing they should be sold to reduce company debt, potentially delaying the rescue. The objection was later withdrawn, and a judge authorized the animals transferred to sanctuaries. While the animals were ultimately rescued and reports to be in varying condition, some beagles were not emaciated but had overgrown nails, and some monkeys appeared pale and stressed. The incident has been a point of controversy in Thanadar's political career, with critics citing it as an evidence of neglect, though Thanadar maintains it was a misrepresentation and a smear campaign. Anybody that does that to animals should never hold office. And then Jesse Waters, I mean, whoever this is showing a video with Jesse Waters, says Michigan House Dems and Michigan Senate Dems, you should be ashamed of yourselves for endorsing someone like Sri Thanadar. It's as bad as Fauci. As a Michigander, my GOP, whatever, you could have run a better campaign against Sri Thanadar. So let's do better the next time. In my opinion, he's so weird. He must have ingested the drugs he experimented on his animals with. House GOP Speaker Johnson slapped this guy down and exposed him for who he is and the atrocities he's responsible for. Sri owned a pharmaceutical lab that ran tests on dogs and monkeys. A whistleblower accused him of hiding that some of the herbal supplements he tested were spiked with Viagra. Oh my God. His company went bankrupt and over 100 beagles were stranded inside a lab. Shree's a strange guy with shady past and should probably be lying low, but there's no leadership in the Democrats party, so guys like Shree can steal the spotlight. And then this Jesse Waters is
Democrats are out of ideas. Congressman Sri Thanadar is impeaching. Yep. And the more we learn about Sri, the weirder it gets. Sri owned a pharmaceutical lab that ran tests on dogs and monkeys. A whistleblower accused Sri of hiding that some of the herbal supplements he tested were spiked with Viagra.
That's horrible.
His company went bankrupt and over 100 beagles were stranded inside a lab. Volunteers rescued them.
We believe that they have never been outside ever.
I don't think that they've actually had their paws on the grass. When I walked in here, it looked like they were walking on eggshells. They were kind of afraid to walk on the grass.
Sri is a strange guy with a shady past. If I were him, I'd be laying low. But there's no leadership in the party, so guys like Sri can steal the spotlight. but Democrats say Republicans are the weirdos.
Yeah.
Democrats are out of ideas. Congressman Sheree Thandadar is impeaching.
Okay, it's replaying it. Sorry. Yeah. This you rotten hell. It says Dem Congressman Sheree Thandadar, famed for railing against Trump, carried out unspeakable acts. Yeah, that's pretty bad. It says the fact that we have a congressman named Sri Thandadar proves America is not a serious country. Democrat rep, yeah, dog abuser. Yeah, it's been brought to my attention that Valerie Jarrett and Sri Thandadar have never been seen in the same place together. I don't know who that lady is. She looks kind of like one of my friends, actually. But this guy says this is still my favorite description of Sri Thandadar. Said this dude looks like an 8-year-old that made a wish to become a grown-up overnight and it came true. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he's got the weirdest hair. And they like I said, they said he's 70 years old. He just ugh. It says just in-house Democrats are now furious with Rep. Sri Thandadar impeachment articles against Trump. They said he misled them that leadership supported it per Axios. Thandadar not only gave the impression leadership backed him, but even signed at least one colleague onto his resolution based on a vague conversation without notifying staff, and it's so sloppy. One Dem said, why would we do something that has failed twice as a strategy and yielded no electoral win? This guy got impeached twice. How did it work out for us? And then another, it seems self-serving and not genuine effort to rein in the president. Yeah, what is going on with that hair? Like Carrie Lake said, it looks like a sorry, I couldn't help it. Like Carrie Lake said, it looked like he had a squirrel on his head when she was in that interview. Let's see if we can find that. Let's see. Let's see if it'll pull it up. Carrie Lake on Sri Thandadar hair. I want to see if we got it. Well, somebody else said I can't take Sri Thandadar seriously with that 2007 Justin Bieber haircut. Like, what even is that? And then, oh yes, and where did this guy come from? I'm embarrassed. Okay, yeah, I don't think this is the right one. But it was on this interview here. Oh, it says, hey, Rep. Sri Thandadar, you should be impeached for trying to rip off Carrie Lake's hairstyle. Also, you're a 70-year-old man. No one is buying that your hair is naturally that color. Plus, it's obvious you wear a wig, dude. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, I guess it is pretty similar. It's just like Joy Reid and Trump. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. My power's probably going to go out because we're getting some storms rolling through. I just thought I'd share this one. So this is the moron that's trying to impeach Trump, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but it's still just worthy noting that that's who we're dealing with again for the third time because they have nothing better. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.